And then the fun intro music plays. Or no, that's Super Mario.
It was like a B-Tech Super Mario.
Yeah, B-Tech Super Mario insert here. Now, whoever made that royalty-free music is really cool. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Memory Card Not Found. I'd say technically still a pilot episode while we look at both our favorite games. In pilot episode 1 or 0.1, how would you 0.1, Kieran? 0? What would we say?
Probably go 0. It was the first one, and it was kind of like a test run. But I mean, now we're kind of like 0.5 kind of thing.
It's still a test run. Then we're not hit 1 yet. Still a test run.
I'll give it 1 when we've got like a guest on, and we're kind of moving through it.
A good guess. If guess 1 is terrible, still episode 0. There'll be 100 episodes in, and we're like, no one is worthy of episode 1 yet.
To be fair, there was a lot of games that came out that were released, and they didn't leave beta for like 5 years, and then they left beta, and it was the original game that came out, but the game had already been out for years.
That's true, actually. I bought my girlfriend Disney Dreamlight Valley in September time, and it's still in beta. It's still not fully out yet. She thought it was the full game. Like, no. Apparently it's still in beta. It's still being tested and everything. You're just the guinea pig. But anyway, welcome to Memory Card Not Found, where we delve into our top 5, our guest top 5, why those top 5s are special to our guests, what makes a good game for them, and how they feel about general aspects of that game and why it makes that top 5 list. This is, as described in the Spotify description, a nice cozy fire chat with your best buds, your 2 bearded Scotsmen, and I'm joined by my fellow Scotsman, Kieran Gall. Kieran, say hi to everyone again.
Hi to everyone again.
Nice. And my name is Sam Lyon, and hi to everyone again. If you missed the first episode, what were you doing?
Yeah, go watch it. Watch it. Go listen to it. Why are you here?
Yeah, it's really good. We learned about Kieran's top 5 games, and they were, I'm going to remember this, Kieran, they were Ocarina of Time. I'm panicking now because I was so determined to remember Ocarina of Time.
No. You remembered Ocarina of Time, but this time you forgot number 4. And I'm pretty sure you forgot 4 last time as well.
No. Okay, number 4 is Life is Strange True Colors.
Yeah.
Yes, okay. What's 3? Oh, Kingdom Hearts 2. Kingdom Hearts 2. Every dedicated listener is already cancelling me for not even remembering 1 episode previous.
Everyone that was shouting Life is Strange in the bus is now annoyed.
Hey, I would not forget your number 2 game, which is Life is Strange, and of course your number 1, which is Final Fantasy X. But yeah, everyone go check that out. What a chat with Kieran. I think if you've not been convinced to play Final Fantasy X yet, I don't know what you're doing with your life. It is a fantastic game.
I know at least 1 listener that has already downloaded Final Fantasy X, so shout out to him. If
they bash it, we're no longer friends with them, right?
Oh, of course. No, they'll be banned from all future chats.
So what's new? Give me the lowdown. What you've been doing? What games have you been playing?
I started and finished Horizon Forbidden West and DLC. All done.
Wait, and the DLC as well?
All of it. I finished the whole thing. Big game. I put like 8 hours into it around. So really happy with it. Characters, music, the look of it, all of it, dynamics, the whole thing. Amazing game.
Yeah, you played the first one, right? How does it? So I've literally you've convinced me to load that game up and start playing it. To me, right now, I've been doing the board game, whatever it's called, something Rush. I don't know.
Strike.
Yes, close enough. To me, that feels like the only real significant difference right now, apart from a poolcaster. So if I go further into the game, will I start realizing this is very uniquely different from the first one, or am I going to feel that it's the same but different? Not that the same's a bad thing, but
I think they've gone a lot deeper into the kind of like the lore, the story, the characters. There's a huge amount of like different like tribes and characters and areas, and it's much more diverse as opposed to like there's like maybe 3 different areas in Horizon Zero Dawn where there's like a huge deserty area and then like a couple forests and then they had the ice DLC. But like there's a lot more things you can do as you go on in the game.
All right,
which,
okay. I'll persevere. I really struggle with these big games just to start getting into it to begin with.
I spent a lot of time just playing Strike, but it was a pain because like I didn't discover the right kind of the right setup for the pieces I had until I was pretty far in the game. When I found basically a loophole that could like 9 times out of 10 win everything. And
to me, Strike feels like a cheap man's Fort Condor from Final Fantasy X Remake DLC.
Yeah, I mean, I treated it like chess, but every piece was kind of like a queen.
Yeah.
I tried to think of it that way, but it was still pretty difficult later on when you're playing all like the high end people.
So I mean, you've literally completed an epic. There's no doubt. Like Forbidden West is a very highly reviewed game. It's a long game, as you said, 8 hours. What are you gonna do with yourself now?
I'm kind of taking a chill. I went back to listening to audiobooks while I played FIFA. That's kind of like my detox after I do a big game. So I put 8 hours into Forbidden West. I did the DLC. Happy with all of it. He even had a little bit of romance in there as well, which I'm happy about.
Romance. You love it. One day we'll do a podcast where we work out how to make our favorite games. And lovely listeners, you will find out Kieran is a very simple man with very simple pleasures.
Yeah, all I need is a little bit of RPG and chucking a little bit of romance, and I'll be happy with any game.
So I'm in a dilemma, Kieran.
What's your dilemma?
So you've convinced me to play Forbidden West.
Yes.
However, I'm a busy man, and I have not lived under a rock. Okay, I am very much a surface dweller, and I have seen all the reviews for Tears of the Kingdom. Not only that, I've seen all the videos of people building stuff.
Oh, I didn't play Breath of the Wild, and my friend who has basically said that playing the first one is not 100% needed to play the sequel Tears of the Kingdom.
So this is my I have got my friend to loan me Breath of the Wild, which in itself is an epic.
It's quite a big game. The map's huge.
So we've got Forbidden West. I've just got Breath of the Wild from a friend. I want to play Tears of the Kingdom when I'm done with that. I'm also really addicted to Fall Guys creator levels at the moment.
Oh yeah,
I'm addicted to
stack
that.
off all the games and play Fall Guys.
I've not completed Pokemon yet, and then by the time that comes around, Final Fantasy 16 will be out.
You sound like me.
Kieran, what do I do?
See, I would put prior commitments ahead of anything new.
Would
you have
wait? How is Ghost of Tsushima gone?
What,
prior commitments?
And that's I'm struggling between either doing that or getting a hold of God of War Ragnarok or getting a hold of Resident Evil Village. Because
Kieran, your advice is to put prior commitments ahead.
Yeah, for you.
For me. Okay.
Advice, but not following. Right? You haven't played Breath of the Wild, but you want to play Tears of the Kingdom. You've played, and I'm pretty sure platinumed Horizon Zero Dawn. If I'm right about that.
That's the first one, right?
Yeah.
So, I've done that.
The fact you haven't played either Zelda game and you've played the first Horizon game, I'd say play the sequel to Horizon because you're already invested in those characters and you'd want to know what happens to them sooner as opposed to getting a whole new emotional attachment to a new Link that's inevitably going to be replaced in a couple of years.
True. The last Zelda game I played was Ocarina of Time on the 3DS.
I've played Twilight Princess, Link to the Past, 4 versions of Ocarina of Time.
So you need to play Breath of the Wild then. It's almost written in the stars that you need to play it.
Yeah, but I've also played every single Resident Evil game made. like
Fair.
no
Well,
like
you know
nowhere.
the remake, Resi 4.
Well, no, but like all the
I
original
played all the Resident Evil games apart from the remakes.
original 1 through 7, all the spin-offs, like near the start, like all the ones where I can't remember what it's called. It's like you can play the guy and the girl, and you're on like a ship, and you need to find your way. It's quite a short game for the PS2, but like I've played a lot of most of the spin-offs, if I'm pretty sure. Remakes, I'm not sure if I want to touch because I've
I know
got.
they're good.
Oh no, yeah, like, I know they're really good, but I don't really want to like buy remake 1, remake 2, remake 3, 4, 5, 6 when I've already played them all and they're only slightly different. Like there's better graphics and they're a good game, but I could be playing brand new games I've never played before, like God of War Ragnarok, Resident Evil Village, stuff like that.
Wait, if you
Like,
not sorry, rewind again before we actually do what we're meant to do on this podcast. Have you not completed Ragnarok yet, or have you even played it?
I haven't touched it.
Oh, it's so good.
Yeah, I know. But it took me well over a year after God of War came out for me to touch that as well. I'm pretty sure.
I platinumed that bad boy. Oh, it was so good. Not on super ridiculous hardcore mode, but just normal mode. But I still platinumed it, and I feel really proud of myself.
Also close. I'd say close. I'm like 4 bronze trophies away from completing Horizon Forbidden West on the first run through without touching New Game Plus.
Knowing your luck, it's gonna glitch out like Hogwarts Legacy.
I'm not sure. Like, I kind of don't want to go back and do it because a lot of them are pretty easy to like upgrade this outfit to max 3 different ones, or get these. Like, I've done all the collectibles, I've done all the missions, I've done all that. I've just got like one side quest to do, then a couple other things at bronze and platinum, and I didn't realize that until I'd finished the DLC.
I mean, it's not bad. It's not a bad thing then. Like if you're not a trophy hunter either, there's no point putting something up just to do arduous tasks, right?
I know I like hunting trophies, and I know I like getting those platinums, and I've got a higher platinum, a higher trophy level than like everyone I play with. But I'm not like a huge trophy hunter. Like if I'm a couple trophies away from a platinum, I've got like 10 games at least that I'm 2 trophies away from a platinum, and I just didn't do it.
That's fair. Fair enough. I mean, I probably will not try. It depends. If it's like what you got, where there's a couple bronzes at the end, I will probably try and platinum it because my brain is just like need to complete. But if I'm like 10, 12 trophies off, I will probably just put that aside. I'm getting better at not having to hunt for all the trophies unless it's a game I'm really thoroughly invested in. He says as he does every single house in Hogwarts Legacy and just gets really angry at himself for doing it.
Yeah, I didn't go through with that either. Like I did my run through, I did my Hufflepuff. I was happy. I got through all of it. I did most of the collectibles, and then I moved on to, I'm pretty sure it's Kenna Bridge of Spirits after that.
You're just a man who plays too many games. There's no such thing. I'm a man who does not play enough games. I think that's actually a better statement. But yeah, I think that's enough chit chat. I think that's enough small talk. I'll probably come back next week and I'll be like, "Oh, what have you been doing here?" It's like I've completed 20 games.
No, you'll come back next week and I've done like, I've got to Division 7 in Ultimate Team
and made 5 creator levels on Fall Guys.
Yeah, my 2 levels are fine. Thank you.
Hey, one of mine has now been published and approved by the moderation team.
I really should check mine because one's really difficult and the other one's really stupid.
I've created a new one and I'm excited for you to play it, and we should play it after this podcast because I think it'll be really fun. But anyway, let's go into my top 5 games and try and find my memory card. We did a weird like music thing last time, right? But we've got a nice little transition piece now, so we can just
like Sam's top 5 games.
I'll put that. That's where I'm going to put the sing song. Just Kira top 5 games music. Cool. I mean, I'm not asking me the questions for this. So it's down to you.
I am now in charge.
Look at me. I am captain now.
Accept my tones. Okay, so I've got, let's see, your top 5. We'll start with number 5, and we'll take it from there. So Sam, what is your 5th highest game?
I just really want to give a quick shout out to Mystical Ninja on Nintendo 64, made by Konami. It's a really good game. It's not in my top 5, but honestly, check it out. It's so good. No, not right. No, you didn't hear nothing. You didn't hear nothing. You didn't hear nothing.
I didn't get my shout. No, I'm shouting out Mirror's Edge for the PS3.
But yeah, definitely check out Mystical Ninja on Nintendo 64. It's really good. Anyway, my top 5, Kieran. My number 5 is a game we actually just talked about very briefly right now. Is Ghost of Tsushima.
Oh yes,
it's a game you have not finished yet, but it is stunning.
It's a game that I started and got. I did like 80% of like all the side stuff before I moved on to like the first couple of main missions, and then I started playing a farming game called My Time at Portia, and I logged 100 and something hours into that farming game.
The fact that took over Ghost of Tsushima makes me sad.
Farming games are my weakness.
I do have a fun fact quickly about Ghost of Tsushima, because I know we've got to move on and we've got a lot to dissect, but Jin Sakai, that's the main protagonist in the game. Yes. I can't remember who the actor is, but he really wants to play Jin in the live action movie, which I don't know if it's been confirmed or is heavily rumored, but I would love a nice original Japanese Ghost of Tsushima film. I think that would look incredible.
But it's quite rare that they have the game actor play the same actor in the movies and everything.
Yeah, it's quite a new game though, to be fair. I think Last of Us, I can understand like when Joel was not played by Joel, especially when Joel made his Troy Baker made his cameo in the HBO series, and you're like, yeah, you couldn't have played Joel.
Because I thought they played it quite well, because they got them in background characters. I mean, Ellie's voice actor played Ellie's mother in the last.
That was really good. That was really good casting, actually.
Because they played it really well. I could see the new Star Wars game, the actor that plays him.
Yes. I actually want him to make a cameo in one of the films.
Yeah, I mean, he's played characters, like he's got acting. He's not just a voice actor. Like he's done TV shows, movies, and stuff. I could see him actually like being in like an Obi-Wan Kenobi show or something. Because I know they brought back Jar Jar Binks, his character, like his actor, into the Boba Fett's show, or Mandalorian, one of them, which was quite cool.
I think once we start getting deep into Star Wars, that's me out of the picture, because I am not a Star Wars guru. Save that for another podcast you create, Kieran, with your friends.
I mean, I'm not like huge in Star Wars, because I could sit here and slate the new trilogy for ages.
Well,
but like,
we no negativity here. No negativity.
No negative. I'm sorry. Forgive me.
I like the credits.
Oh yeah, the credits in the intro were amazing. Loved it.
There we go. We found some light in some darkness.
Okay. Moving swiftly on. What's your number 4?
This I'm always torn between my number 4 and number 3. So number 4 is Yakuza Like a Dragon, or just Like a Dragon. So basically the Yakuza games are about the Yakuza in Japan. They've actually dropped the Yakuza handle now, and all games going forward are going to be called Like a Dragon. So there's a new one called Like a Dragon Ishin, and I don't know what the new one's going to be called, but this Like a Dragon is a turn-based JRPG set in the Yakuza world, and it is so funny. It is so slick. It is so quite good. It's so good that I wasted 3 hours trying to get like 100 billion yen in a mini game because I was so addicted to just playing.
I spent a lot more time. I went back every time I needed money. I went back to that mini game. I spent a couple hours just sitting there, just like more.
And it's made by Sega. The music is crazy. There's the mages, warriors, tanks, healers. Like I say, it's so funny. There's tons of minis. There's go-karting, which I absolutely love as well. There's like
funny thing. Mm-hmm. Just like how Resident Evil in Japan, Resident Evil's actual name is Biohazard. So outside of Japan, it's Resident Evil, but inside Japan, the game's still Biohazard. But Yakuza's got the same thing. So Like a Dragon is Yakuza's Japanese name for the game.
Ah, so it's always been Like a Dragon
So
in
it's
Japan.
always been Like a Dragon, one through everything. And they've only recently worldwide released it as, let's introduce Like a Dragon, even if it's a sub name for the game.
Ah, I didn't know that.
So now people kind of realize that it's about the Yakuza, but the name was Like a Dragon because it followed the dragon of the Yakuza, Kazuma.
That's pretty cool. I say I've actually I don't resonate with like the normal Yakuza games. I'm not a big beat 'em up fan. It's not what I like. But so Like a Dragon being a turn-based JRPG, it's like Final Fantasy X is a turn-based JRPG. It is right up my street. And if you like JRPGs, I think this is one of the best JRPGs you can get in the modern era in the last five years, I'd say.
Yeah, I mean, it's turn-based RPGs. They're kind of slim pickings right now. You don't get as much as you used to. I still go back to Final Fantasy X, kind of like my healing game.
So old. It's not enough turn-based RPGs anymore.
Well, everything, even Final Fantasy, everything's going action RPG, like real-time action. Like it's kind of evolved from Final Fantasy X because X-2 was like real-time. Like it was still kind of turn-based, but it was like active turn-based. So like,
but that was like the Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9 model, right? It's an active time battle scrolled up.
Yeah, you had to just be as quick as you could because you were mashing X to get your attack through before theirs did because you see a timer on their screen as opposed to 10 that was just you had plenty of time to plan it out and you could see who's going on the right side of the screen. So, I mean, there's a Final Fantasy game for everything. If you want to play action, the new one, maybe Final Fantasy 15 will be good for you. If you just want turn-based strategy, the older ones, anything from 1 all the way up through 10. Well, we don't speak about 11.
No, I mean, if you are an MMORPG fan, 11 and 14, they're really good. 14 is crazy good. We're just not the MMORPG experts, but you go online, you will find enough reviews and people playing it to make up your own mind if you want to dive into that.
Yeah, saying that, I did beta Final Fantasy 14 when it first came out on PS3.
Yeah, but wait, the really terrible one or the Rebirth one where they had to completely scrap the game and rebuild it?
Like the very first edition of Final Fantasy 14.
Oh god, the bad one.
Like the very first time Final Fantasy 14 came out, I baited the first intro of that game on consoles.
It was so bad, Kieran, that they had to literally scrap the whole game and start it from the ground up.
Yeah, I mean, when I first started it, I made a couple of friends. I was in a guild. I only had it for like a couple of weeks, but it was all right. It was a kind of a pain because there was no healers at all. So we were doing all these like delve runs down these enemies with no healers at all. So it was just a couple tanks and damage dealers, and we kept on dying over and over again. But it was good fun.
You in your guilds. I know this is my top 5, but do you want to quickly tell everyone for 30 seconds why you should never be allowed to make a guild? And I'm referring to Elder Scrolls Online. Go and tell the world what your guild was and how the ranking system works.
Okay, so very quickly, me and my friend Zoe, shout out Zoe if she's listening.
If she's not, for shame.
If she's not, how dare you? But we on Elder Scrolls Online, I can't remember there's 3 regions you choose, and I think mine was like the left region on the map. In the starting area, we made a guild. It started off as a joke because like we were in open mic and we're just speaking to a few randoms that just kind of started the game. We're all speaking and having a laugh. The joke started where we were just saying, "Oh, let's see who can steal the most bread in the market area." So we all went sneaking around trying to steal bread without getting caught, and we inevitably racked up like 50k worth of gold debt. So like everyone was like hunting around us, like the guards and stuff. So then we made a guild called Bread Lovers. It's still there. I'm pretty sure it's still there. I think me and Zoe are the only members still there. but we had rankings based on how much bread you stole. So like if you stole none or like you kept on getting caught, you'd be like it was like a desolate crumb. But then it worked.
Crumb.
Yeah, and then it worked its way up to kind of like stale bread, fresh bread, like perfect loaf kind of thing. There was
Fresh
like
bread of Bel Air.
we had all these rankings, and every time I got caught, I racked up like 100,000 gold worth of debt because I kept getting caught. So I was a desolate crumb for ages, even though I was one of the founders of the guild. Zoe was great at it. We had hundreds of pieces of bread in like our bank, and we did this for a few weeks, and then at the end of it, Zoe noticed some people kept on taking like bread out of it because bread was a great healing item for that game. So she was just like, "Oh, not on my watch!" and she took all the bread out of it. So she had like 100+ pieces of bread in her, which she shared with me. And we did finish ESO. We did all the big like 40-man dungeons. Like we did everything, all like before all the new DLC came out, of course. But there's one dungeon we tried to end it on, and there's 4 bosses. We got to the third one, which is it's a round room split with 2 huge bosses. One's a healer, one's a tank. And it was the hard. I was like level 350 or something, and the max back then was like 525 or something. But it was the hardest boss I've ever done. Like
Desolate crumb, use your stale bread to attack the boss.
Like there was 40 of us all over level 300, and it was impossible. Like we tried it like 20+ times with different strategies with different people and died every single time. After that, I was just like, okay, I've got the armor I want. I've done everything else. That's me done, and I moved on. After I did 400-500 hours, but
and you never looked back.
I made a new character for something years later, and I played it for a bit on like a new area of the map that I'd never been.
And then you never looked back.
Then I never looked back. But shout out to Issa, and shout out to Yaksha Like a Dragon. Anyway, number 3.
So we're starting to establish a theme here of what old Sammy boy likes in terms of thematics.
2 Japanese games.
Well, let's add number 3 to that.
Let's add a third Japanese game.
So number 3 is Persona 5, and I clump Persona 5 and Persona 5 Royal together because I think story-wise it's the same essence, but just added content on Royal, and you get a bit more things. But Persona 5 is the second Persona game I played. I played Persona 4 Golden on the PSP, which is a fantastic game as well. Persona 5 is just, I feel like everything that a good Persona game is just mushed together into one. And once again, it's set in Japan. It's set in modern day Japan, roughly around where Yakuza Like a Dragon's actually set as well, funnily enough. But yeah, it's just a stylish game. The artwork's really cool. Again, it is a turn-based JRPG. There's a theme. There's a very strong theme going on. And yeah, you can upgrade your weapons. You can do lots of mini games. Very typical Japanese, but it's just very stylish, very responsive. And there's like a Pokemon element to it where you almost like catch masks and you can fuse them together and create stronger monsters to aid your battle, and you can have different attacks and different strengths and weaknesses based on what monster you equip. Very good game. Very good game.
Then you spend a long time fusing the monsters to try and get new ones, and suddenly you're just literally just playing Pokemon Fusion.
Yes. And I would not trade any of that for the world.
Yeah, I mean, Persona 5 Royal is my 9th game, just ahead of Bloodborne and behind Mirror's Edge.
I thought it was higher than 9th. I thought it was 7th. What's 7th?
Skyrim.
Interesting. Okay. I see.
My list is warped towards the feelings I had playing these games, which, I mean, I guess it's why Final Fantasy X-2 is up there, and most people are going to crucify me for that, but it's there, and accept it.
maybe when we have a bit of downtime, we might delve into our full top 10 together and then show how pathetic we really are.
Persona 5 was a Game Award Game of the Year nominee in 2017. It was against Breath of the Wild, PUBG, Horizon Zero Dawn, and Mario Odyssey. Needless to say, it didn't win.
The thing is, it's a very Japanese game, and that was a very, I guess, Western bias.
Yeah,
I don't think games really I don't think there's really too much of a bias like, oh, it's a Japanese game, I'm going to vote for the Western. But I think what a lot of, I guess, voters grew up with is more akin to what Breath of the Wild. I suppose Breath of the Wild's Japanese as well. Forget what I'm saying. I just really want Persona to win, and I think it's a fix.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting better because in the 2020 Game Awards, Ghost of Tsushima did win Game of the Year.
Okay, what a game! What
strong
a number
game.
5 game.
And now that's like feudal Japan warriors going at it. So that's as Japanese as you can get. So I mean, it's getting a lot, like JRPGs are becoming more prominent. There's loads of them on like Steam, PlayStation Store, the Switch. Ones I've never even seen. Like loads of big franchises that are just out there, and we're sitting here playing Yakuza and Final Fantasy and Persona.
Tell you though, if you the last selling point before we get into the top 2, if you like Asian butt, listeners, you'll love Ghost of Tsushima, because to upgrade your health, you have to go in a hot spring, and you get to see Jin Sakai's bare butt. So, what's not to like?
That's not a selling point. I don't know what is.
Exactly. But yeah, that's my 5, 4, and 3. Ghost of Tsushima, Like a Dragon, and Persona 5, all very Japanese-centric games, all done by... 2 of them actually done by Japanese devs. Ghost of Tsushima is not, is it? It's done by Sucker Punch.
Yeah, did you Ghost of... Yep, Sucker Punch.
Yeah.
Was 2020 game. Released on July 17th on the PS4.
The DLC to that is also really good. I'm almost selling Ghost of Tsushima like it is my number 3, but I promise I like a Dragon more and Persona 5 more.
It's I mean, if we all delved into our top 10, we'd be there for ages arguing why a certain game is supposed to be there.
Arguing with ourselves as well, not with each other.
Our top 10, well, I mean, especially my top 10 is warped. Like, it's people would be like, "Oh, do you think Skyrim's better than blah blah blah?" And it's a mess. But moving on to your number 2 game, drum roll for your number 2.
That's the best drum roll I can do. I'm sorry, I wasn't a drummer. I was actually kicked out of music.
I was kicked out the choir when I was in primary.
Me too. Oh, me too. Apparently, I was too loud, Kieran. I was too rubbish. But because it was a primary school, they went, instead of singing, do you want to be the really important job of the narrator? And I was like, yes.
It wasn't even that, because I was in the choir for a full year and I got kicked out because my voice broke in primary 5.
So that's when your beard came in as well.
My beard was primary 7. Voice broke in primary 5. So they were just like, "Sorry, Keelan, your voice broke. You can't sing anymore." And I just wasn't allowed to sing after that.
Leave this school in shame.
I had the deeper voice than the teachers. I was just kind of there.
I hope it broke mid-concert.
I think it was gradual, but it was quite like annoying because I was legit. Like my voice was up and down like a yo-yo going into secondary school, and everyone's just like, "Why are you really spotty?" and "Why are you really tall?" and all this sort of stuff. Like going into secondary school instead of like halfway through like everyone else.
God, kids are cruel, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, I evened out before everyone, so I was fine. But like, when everyone started doing what I did in like 3rd and 4th year, I had so much fun just going like.
You became the bully. Good.
Yeah, I mean,
a
lot. But it was good following my friends around, just like catching them out when their voice cracked during their class when they're asking questions.
Still waiting for that day my voice breaks. That'll be a good day. Anyway, my number 2 is a similar ilk to Kieran's number 1, in that my number 2 is Final Fantasy VIII on the PlayStation 1.
Big call.
It's a big call. I know it's a controversial game in the timeline of what Final Fantasy is, but there is method to my madness and why it's my number 8.
Yeah, it says madness for a game that doesn't have voice acting.
Whoa. Voice acting does not make a game.
It doesn't make a game, but it helps.
Fall Guys is probably the most critically acclaimed game of all time and has no voice acting.
Fall Guys has voice acting.
Zelda, Link doesn't have a voice. He just goes,
No, that's a voice.
It's not a voice. It's not a voice.
You don't hear anything from Squall or anything like that.
Anyway, Final Fantasy VIII is like my number 2 game. It's only narrowly number 2 as well. I think it is, while it might not be the best Final Fantasy game, it certainly has the strongest place for me on the list of Final Fantasy best games.
Yeah, Final Fantasy VIII, which was made by Square, but before it became Square Enix.
Was it before Square Soft? Was it just Square?
I'm pretty sure it was just Square. I know Final Fantasy.
You're right, it is, because I can see the Square logo, and the A has got like a bit of red in it.
Because I'm pretty sure that what's it? Final Fantasy X was the last SquareSoft game, or
so my Kingdom Hearts.
I think it was Kingdom Hearts.
Yeah,
last
Kingdom Hearts,
SquareSoft game.
Mm-hmm.
Final Fantasy VIII was one of the last Square games.
Ah, interesting. Because 9 is SquareSoft, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. So Final Fantasy VIII, which was directed by Yoshinori Kitase, who did Chrono Trigger and also Final Fantasy 6 through to 7, 8, 10, and the 13 series.
A bit of a legend then.
Big director, and the music was done by Nobuo Uematsu.
Legend, absolute legend.
Legend. He worked for Square and Square Enix up until 2004, when he left to make his own company, Mistwalker, which he did the Final Fantasy songs for, but like as a separate entity. If you didn't know that, well, I think that
he still contributes to the title theme, but I think that's as far as his influence goes. I know the new one's not gonna have Nobuo influence, and you can just feel when it's a Nobuo Uematsu song compared to another person's song. It's just got that kind of signature.
I think that's what brings us all back to when we like playing 7, 9, 10, like all those old school games has just that little flair of his. Because the Final Fantasy X music is one of the main things that let me just chill and relax and listen to it.
I still do. I was walking to the shop. I had like a Final Fantasy piano collection on, and you can hear the influence of Ubu even through just the piano in itself. Even though he uses more of an 8-bit, 16-bit track, but he's got his own band like the Black Mages and stuff like that, which is really good to listen to as well. But should I try and summarize Final Fantasy VIII?
Please do. I mean, try and keep it spoiler free for.
Yes, from a game from when did it come? 1999?
It was February 11th, 1999 in Japan, and then it released later that year, September and October for the USA and Europe separately.
So a 23-year-old game. I will try not to spoil it for anyone who can.
If you haven't played Final Fantasy games that old yet, then you're missing out. So
I think before I summarize the story, I think with a caveat, with 10, I think it's all right. You can get away with that. They've kind of upgraded it and they've done HD remasters. For 7, they've got a remake. But if you want to play the original 7, 8, and 9, and even further back, I think you've just got to take it with a pinch of salt. That the pace is slower because there's no voice acting. It's all text boxed. The graphics might not be as sharp, but you really just got to appreciate the story for what it is and how the gameplay works. It's definitely a product of its time, and I'm not blind to knowing that if some youngster picked it up now, they would probably not resonate or connect with it as much as I might have.
It's quite a slow pace, and it's one of the first games that introduced kind of realistic character sizes, as opposed to like 7 and the games before that all had like small, like tiny pixelated bobblehead characters. And then in cinematics, they had this nice, big, beautiful cinematics. For 8, it was realistic characters even out of cutscenes. So like you could really tell the kind of moving on swiftly from their 7, which is kind of known as their most famous one.
Yeah. I say so. So 8 is a bit of a crazy story. It doesn't actually really make sense, but I guess a summary of it is you play as Squall. He's a 16, 17-year-old mercenary. So he goes to the school, he learns how to fight, and then he gets sent away to places to save the world or save factions or towns or cities. As you progress, you start encountering Sorceress Adia, and she is bad news bears. That's probably the best way to summarize it. God, it's so hard to try and actually condense this story because it's just so crazy.
I do the same thing for 10, and like thinking about the 10 story and summoning it, like trying to convince someone to play 10 without saying, okay, this is what happens, the bad guy, this is what you do.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, let me refocus. So, Squall gets sent off with a couple of party members, and he eventually has this assignment. He needs to kill the sorceress. The sorceress is essentially kind of running amok around the towns, trying to influence and start wars and create fires. I'm not going to say what happens with that sorceress, but she's actually not the big bad. And the big bad is a character called Ultimisia, and she actually wants to create time compression, and she wants to merge the past, present, and future all into one ball. And I just threw my pen in craziness because she wants to just compress time into one ball and then rule all of time and space. And so from a sequence of events from trying to assassinate Sorceress Adia, you get all the way to a final fight, which takes place in space and time in one specific point. As you go along, you meet a love interest, Renoa, and your hard exterior, that is Squall, slowly starts to break down and becomes more vulnerable. And there's a running joke that, I guess, in the Final Fantasy community, that Squall is not a good character. He just says whatever. He's very closed off. But he's got actually one of the most developed character arcs, and I think a lot of Final Fantasies. And there's reasons behind his kind of steely exterior and how it breaks down. But what I failed to mention is, even though there's time compression, time jumps, there's also memory loss, orphanages, amnesia, and crazy summons, and cool weapons, and amazing cutscenes. I mean, the opening cutscene is a full Latin orchestra, and two people fighting.
Pretty sure their theme was one of the first like kind of vocal themes they brought like voices on for. Before that, it was actual instruments and orchestra, but this time they actually brought voice acting to the theme, which kept going for 10, 12, and further on.
For sure. And two more things I want to mention, because I'm sure you've got lots of questions for me, is one, Squall has a weapon called the Gunblade. It is a gun and a massive sword. How cool. And two, Final Fantasy VIII still has recognized one of the best mini games of all time, Triple Triad, and one of the greatest Final Fantasy soundtracks of all time. There, said my piece. You can ask my questions now. I'm ready to go.
Triple Triad was actually introduced by one of the game's programmers, Kentaro Yusui. I think that was his name. Sorry if I butchered that. So he kind of introduced the game, saying all card games are quite popular, and tried to bring it in as a kind of a stopgap for all these like long traveling sequences where you could like just take a break, kind of like Blitzball Final Fantasy X.
That's crazy, because you can absolutely, once you basically know how to play the card game, you can essentially convert cards into magic, and you can break the game really quickly. So the fact that was introduced so last minute makes a lot of sense now, because I probably completed this about 8-9 times, and I know the exact path I take to become completely overpowered, because it's not about levels, it's about how much magic and strength you've got. So because enemies scale with you, if you're level 100 by 5 hours in, that doesn't matter, because the enemies are just going to scale and still beat you down. But if you've junctioned, and we're not going to get into junctioning and stuff. It's just crazy. But if you junction like Ultima, the magic Ultima, to your strength, and you're level 1, you're going to have a lot easier time than someone who's just leveled up to level 100 and got basic magic attached to them.
It does take quite a lot of time to get your head around the magic and what you're supposed to do. Because when I first started playing the game, I was like using the spells to like beat the enemies. Actually using the spells, but you're meant to save them and then use them to improve your character. But you get your head around it. I mean, Final Fantasy's mechanics has changed over the years, from the first one all the way up to modern action RPGs that you see now. Older ones are a lot harder. If you play Final Fantasy 15, that's kind of like a whole family can play kind of game. But if you go and play like 4 or 6 or something, it's all quite difficult. There's no difficulty. There's no like an easy way to play it. It's like Dark Souls. Good luck.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. But I say it just holds a special place in my heart. I just love the music, just kind of the time that I was playing it as well, and how I was introduced to the series. So good, Kieran. It's so good.
So, how did you find your first copy of the game? How do you introduced to it?
I say it holds quite a big place in my heart, actually. So in primary school, I used to go back to my friend's house. Because mum would work, so I'd go to my friend's house, and his mum would cook me dinner, and we'd sit in his room and we'd play games. And he had a copy of Final Fantasy VIII. I'd never heard or seen of Final Fantasy before. I was about 7 years old at the time, maybe 8. I don't think he played it when the game first came out. And he was already on disc 2 or disc 3 back in the day, by the way, kids. You had to change discs on the PlayStation if it was a big game.
It was a struggle. Yeah. If your second disc was scratched or broken, then you stuck in the first part of the game.
It was super sad. But so he was on disc 2, and he had to find the seed chip. And he kept searching and searching and searching on the world map, and he just could not do it. And he eventually just gave up. And he was like, you know what? Take the game, you play it, see what you can do. And so I took the game, I got all the way to disc 2, and I eventually found the white seed chip, and I was just so happy. Not realizing that finding that white seed chip took about, from start of the game to there, about 40 hours. It's the first time I've been so engrossed in a game that 40 hours just disappeared out of nowhere. And I was like, wow, this is a game for me. So I got to keep that copy because he was just done with it, essentially.
Yeah, I mean, having an old game you could sink that many hours into is quite rare. Modern games, there's so much to it now to try and distract people that you have so many games that are past 40 hours, past 100 hours even. There's a lot of PC gamers that have played thousands and thousands of hours in like League of Legends, Ark, World of Warcraft, stuff like that. So I think as the world progresses, we'll have more and more games that you sink more and more hours into, which is kind of inevitable.
Oh, for sure.
So in Final Fantasy VIII, who like your two characters, one that you like the most, one you like the least, and why?
Oh, that's a really good question. So really good. Let's get the negative out the way, I think. And it's just one I just don't like that much. And I think it was more of an age thing. It was Quistis. I think that's how you say her name. I've never heard it out loud, but she's essentially one of the instructors in Bound Garden. She's one of your main party members. She's actually only 18, I think, in the game, but she always feels so much older.
So she's the Orin of the game, because
yeah, she's the Orin of the game. You think she's like 40, but she's actually 18. The reason I don't really like her that much, I think, was just that age difference. She felt way too grown up for this party, because Final Fantasy VIII was designed back in the height of Japanese like high school dramas and stuff. It was really popular back in the 90s, and that's kind of what they based it on. And so this kind of teacher figure that comes in, just naturally was not going to gravitate towards too. She was a blue mage, not really a big blue mage fan in any kind of capacity for JRPGs, so just naturally was not going to be a fit.
So fair to say, back in the day, you weren't into the older women, as you would say.
No, now I'm an old man. I can see. I mean, she's 18, so I won't. I won't say, but now I like the older woman.
Well, I mean, going by the age, I mean, she would now be 18 back to around 40,
do you,
50.
I was always say do your maths because I can't do maths.
I'm like I'm just like estimating, but if
If,
it's
if there's any people who like doing fan art, can you draw all the Final Fantasy characters and what their age would be now, based on when that game was released? Because now
oh
Aaron
that
would be the old man, and Quistis
oh
would be
like
my age.
see, Orin would look like how he would normally look
Yeah,
now because
he won't have aged. Uh, and the character I resonate most with or like the most, I think it's a tough one. I would like to say Squall, the main character, which feels like such a cop out. And I think
yeah.
there's other characters like Zell, the fighter, and even Cypher, one of the antagonists in the game, where you think he's just a bit misguided. But I think Squall initially at the start of the game, he's quite introverted. He's quite shy. He doesn't feel like he's cool. He doesn't feel like he's better than anyone else, but he just kind of wants to be alone. And sometimes I get that feeling quite a lot in my life. And I think that's why I really resonated with his story and in his arc of somehow being trusted to look after these people as it goes on this adventure and having to become more vulnerable as well. And I think I see a lot of myself in Squall, and I think it's a good lesson about how to be open and vulnerable and let people in who only want the best for you, which is sometimes really hard to do. And I think Squall's character really embodies that, and for everyone playing that game.
Yeah, so it goes into knowing who to let in and who's good for you in your life.
Exactly. He's been his sister, and again, the story's crazy, but you find out Squall's in an orphanage, and his sister has what he thinks has abandoned him, and that's why he becomes closed off. And he finds it very hard to trust people, and I think it's a big step for him to be put in such a big leadership role to try and even save the world, and even eventually fall in love with Renoa, one of the characters that you meet along the way.
Of course. Cool. Well, I think that's a pretty good summary of Final Fantasy VIII. So if you haven't played that, please do check it out.
Yeah, you can get in Switch, PlayStation Store. I'm pretty sure the Xbox Store now has it as well. Even just
Yeah,
buying an old PlayStation and buying the game, it's not going to be that expensive either. It's everywhere. But yeah, definitely check out Final Fantasy VIII just for the crazy story. Enjoy the ride.
yeah. And the last kind of like little thing about it is Hironobu Sakaguchi, which is basically the creator of Final Fantasy, couldn't direct the game that year because he was directing another Final Fantasy thing that came out at a similar time.
Is it
Do
9?
you know what that would be, Sam?
Is it Final Fantasy 9?
It is not.
Another Chrono game?
He was developing the first Final Fantasy movie,
Oh, Spirits Within. Oh my days. Oh god.
which
Okay. The less said about that, the better. Very cool
uh,
looking film for back in the day, but the less said about
yeah,
it,
that
the better.
that development gave way to what became modern Square Enix because of how much it tanked. So
They lost so
uh,
much money.
he gave the director to Kitase, which took over the game for him mainly.
Oh well, thanks Kitase for coming in. I don't think it would have been the same without his involvement. So that's really good to hear. Good
Okay.
facts.
And now the people are waiting with bated breath now, Sam. What do you
Kingdom
think?
Hearts is Kingdom Hearts. It's Kingdom Hearts, Karen. Kingdom Hearts is the greatest game of all time, and I absolutely love it. It's the best game. It will never be topped. Oh,
And
it's so
we
good.
have Sam's main obsession in life, Kingdom
I
Hearts.
have a Kingdom Hearts tattoo on me. That's how much I love Kingdom Hearts.
There are, yes, Kingdom Hearts, the first game, which came out in Japan in 2002 in March and was released again in the USA later that year in September, which was directed by Tetsuya Nomura and Shinji Hashimoto.
To them are the character designers for Final Fantasy 7, 8, and 9.
Mm.
Tetsuya Nomura has become a bit of an icon within Square Enix. He's I'm pretty sure he directed 15 as well, and he played a big role in 10 and 2. Like, he's really big within Square Enix. His new passion project is Kingdom Hearts, which has been spanning for ages. I'm going to give a quick summary of Kingdom Hearts because I do want to get into Kingdom Hearts because I love the game so much. I'm looking at my Keyblade that I got at Comic-Con.
Yeah.
Oh, the game's so good. Basically, it revolves around a character called Sora who is on this island with his two friends. Darkness comes and swallows the island up, and he gets cast away to a place called Traverse Town, where he meets Donald and Goofy from Disney. And they are looking for King Mickey Mouse. And this game, Kieran, is about, I say it like you don't know it, but from my perspective, this game is about you going to different Disney worlds, so Alice in Wonderland, Tarzan, Nightmare Before Christmas, Aladdin, Little Mermaid, the list goes on. Trying to find King Mickey, trying to find your friends who you lost on the island, sealing up the world, stopping Heartless, and get this, you also meet Final Fantasy characters like I just talked about, Final Fantasy 8, Final Fantasy 10, 9. It's just crazy. It's crazy how Disney and Square actually merged and created a game that is just so larger than life, so amazing, so beautiful. The soundtrack, the gameplay, the music, the worlds, everything culminates into such a good game. And it's not even just my word about it. The fact that it's got so many spin-offs, such a dedicated fan base. You can get Kingdom Hearts merch in Disneyland. It's just... Oh, I love Kingdom Hearts, Kieran. I don't know if you can tell or not, but it's such a good game. Please hit everyone.
For people that don't know, Kingdom Hearts came about by pure luck.
Literally, it's such a crazy story.
It wasn't a planned game. It was Hashimoto and Hinobu Sakaguchi were basically speaking about a game styled around Mario 64, so a 3D RPG style game that they could make. And so Tetsuya Nomura overheard them and said that he would lead it if it became a game. So this was very early stages, so they weren't sure what they would involve with this. But they said that to make a game like that they would sell, it would have to be with characters that were as big as like Disney characters. Funnily enough, in the same building Square Enix was in back then, it was also the building that Disney was based. So by pure chance, they were in an elevator with a Disney executive, and they pitched the idea of
literally an elevator pitch.
Yeah,
they had madness.
They only had the time it got from the top floor to the bottom for them to pitch a Square Enix Final Fantasy combined with Disney and Disney characters game. From the point of view of a protagonist that was original to Kingdom Hearts. By the time they got out the elevator, the Disney executive was completely hooked, and development started. I think it was like a couple of years or a year after that elevator. So thanks to that elevator in the building and them being in it, you've got Kingdom Hearts and all, I'd like to say 11, 12 games that are out now.
There's so many. I'll see if I can rattle them off really quick. Kingdom Hearts 1, Kingdom Hearts 2, Kingdom Hearts 3, Kingdom Hearts Chain of Memories, Kingdom Hearts Birth by Sleep, Kingdom Hearts 358 over 2, Kingdom Hearts Dreamed Up Distance, Kingdom Hearts Melody of Memories, all the Kingdom Hearts spin-offs, Kingdom Hearts 2.8, Kingdom Hearts Union Cross Key, which is a mobile game as well, Kingdom Hearts Recoded, and then Kingdom Hearts 4 is coming. 5. Yeah, all the remakes that have gone on different platforms, and then soon to be Kingdom Hearts 4 whenever that launches. It is insane. It is so good. The controls are a little bit jerky in Kingdom Hearts, but if you can get over that, honestly, if you love Disney, if you love Final Fantasy, if you love just great platformers and great fighting and just a really heartwarming story, I 100% recommend you dive into Kingdom Hearts, because it's just truly, I don't like using the word magical a lot, Kieran, but it's really a magical game. It really is one of those games that just really makes you feel warm inside. It's like a story about friendship and finding your friends again, and I just love it.
It's also quite surprising, because if you jump into the voice acting of this game, there are a fair few celebrities voicing these characters.
You don't say.
So Sora is voiced by Haley Joel Osment, which was the child from Sixth Sense.
I see dead people.
Riku was done by David Gallagher, who did one of the English voices for Whisper of the Heart, the Ghibli movie.
Just want to say it's not the same Riku from Final Fantasy X. It is a male Riku with 1K.
Yeah. Completely different Riku. Riku from Final Fantasy X is a blonde female that likes to combine things to blow things up. The male Riku is basically the Sasuke of Kingdom Hearts.
Tunisia reference.
Yes. So Kairi is voiced by Hayden
Panettiere, something like that,
Panettiere, yeah. She did loads of stuff: Scream, Bugs Life, Superheroes, just all over the sun. Also, Sean Austin, who you might know, did Hercules.
Oh, as in the film Hercules.
No, as in the character in Kingdom Hearts, Hercules, the actual character you voiced.
That's interesting.
You also get Mandy Moore did Aerith. Sean Fleming did Titus. And Lance Bass from Instinct is
yeah. I forgot about that. And what I really like as well is some original Disney characters from the films reprised their role. For some reason, I'm drawing a blank on the voice of Ariel, and I feel really bad because I'm knowing myself that I can't remember, so I'm gonna have to do a quick Google before this is out. But she reprised her role as Ariel, which I thought was really nice. And there's a few other people that reprise the roles, which is really refreshing.
Yeah, there's so many characters, like Jack Skellington, just from every Disney movie you can think under the sun.
Jodie Benson, reprised her role, which is really cool.
It's also the only Kingdom Hearts game that Tarzan appears in, because Disney don't own the rights to Tarzan.
Yes, they did lose the rights. It's really funny that happened, and that's actually one of my favorite worlds as well. A bit confusing, but loved it.
And like we said before, it was the last SquareSoft game before it became Square Enix. And also, do you know who voiced Ansem, one of the big bads from Kingdom Hearts?
Oh shoot, I did know, and that's really bad that I don't know. Do you want to drop his name?
The big name of Billy Zane.
Billy Zane. Oh, I was maybe thinking of someone else actually. Who's Billy Zane again?
Billy Zane, I will tell you right now. Billy Zane is not someone you'd think of when he does this kind of thing.
Sounds like a guy who's voiced in Futurama and stuff, but he's probably not.
No, not quite. Movies he's done before, he's been Titanic.
He looks like Ansem. Sorry, I've just seen it.
Titanic, Back to the Future, Zoolander, Scorpion King, Pocahontas randomly. He's been
Zoolander,
just everything.
Damn.
You get all these people coming together for Kingdom Hearts, and you could go through the names endlessly, and you'll just be picking out people that you recognize. So, for Kingdom Hearts, again, what drew you into this game? Being it was all over the shop, how did you kind of find this?
It's interesting actually, because I was thinking about how I first found Kingdom Hearts, and you might, like I said, I don't know the specific details exactly, but I do remember actually the first time I saw Kingdom Hearts was actually a trailer in the cinema. And I was either watching Chamber of Secrets or Treasure Planet at the cinema with my parents. Two great films. And,
very, very strong films, but Treasure Planet being my favorite Disney film.
2002, what a year for films, it seems. But I saw the trailer, and it was just the intro music came on, and you see Sora, and then I remember you saw Winnie the Pooh, you saw Aladdin, then you saw, I think you see Mickey and Donald at the very end, and like there's a title, it's like, you never know who you'll bump into next. And I remember turning to my mom and dad, I'm like, It's the first time I think I ever was consciously like, I want this game. Like, this is the only thing I really want for my, I think, my birthday. So I got it on release day for my birthday, and I just never looked back. That's how I got my hands on the game.
See, I was lucky for you to know that you actually got the game, and like I said in the last podcast, I got it randomly. I asked for a game for Christmas, and I got Kingdom Hearts 2 with no context at all. And
going to the Kingdom Hearts 2 without the context of Kingdom Hearts 1 is a bit confusing. But I still have the game here. It's in pristine condition. I've got the manual with it that explains everything. The disc is pristine, the box is pristine, and I've collected all the physical copies of every game. And I've just never looked back.
It's a big game because I mean, people playing Final Kingdom Hearts, and if by some miracle they've never seen any Disney, they've never seen any Final Fantasy, like any of the absolute truck ton of characters in that game, you will be there for a while watching the movies and playing the games and finding out these characters. They'll send you down the rabbit hole because Kingdom Hearts is kind of like a hub for all these things. Like the more Kingdom Hearts games you play, the more big thing you realize of how many like different characters and backstories go into this game, and the amount of work these developers and writers had to put into making it all work together somehow over the course of 11 games.
It does get very confusing as well, but the original Kingdom Hearts game, and it's why I keep it at my number one, is it's actually quite a simple story before it gets too convoluted as well. It's actually quite a difficult game as well. There's a lot of super bosses in that game that if you're just playing casually, you'll never find. But there's like the Phantom in the Neverland world. There's Kurt Ziza in the Aladdin world. But there's also, you fight Sephiroth from Final Fantasy VII in the tournament, and he's really difficult. I only beat him in the PS3. I never beat him in the PS2.
Sephiroth being the guy he is, he's difficult in every game, but you can find Sephiroth in most Kingdom Hearts games, and when you do find him, sometimes it's by accident. It's really, really difficult to beat him on any difficulty. He's just like, he just abuses you. I think in Kingdom Hearts 2, there's videos of people playing him for the first time, and he just sends you around and you're dead within like a couple seconds if you don't know how to defend.
Yeah. He's same in Kingdom Hearts 1, to be fair. I have no idea how anyone beat it without a guide back in the day. But yeah, it's got a bit of everything. If you just want to play it on easy, you can. If you want a challenge, you can rack up to hard, or you can seek out people like Sephiroth. And you have a weapon called the Keyblade. It's literally a massive giant key, and you get different ones for different worlds. So, for example, the Aladdin one is called the Three Wishes, and it looks like a Keyblade that you'd find in the Aladdin film, or a Tarzan one looks like something you'd find in Tarzan's world. And I think that kind of connection to each of the worlds as well is really special and really good. So it's small details in Kingdom Hearts that I really do love.
Yeah, you get the gothic ones of Jack Skellington's Keyblade. You get other characters that get their own Keyblades. It's endless. Like if you want to go in a deep dive of Kingdom Hearts, there's people that do like huge timeline deep dives of characters, storyline, all of it, and it takes a very long time. But if you want to put the commitment in, Kingdom Hearts is a great series for you to go into and play. You get the entire collection on consoles now that you can just buy the collection for.
Yeah, you just need to buy the one game. Back in the day to collect it one at a time. So you're all lucky if you want to jump in. They brushed it up as well, so it's a bit slicker.
When we played it, it was separate consoles. It was Game Boys and DSs and like PlayStation, and it was all separate and all in different places.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
But now, like, if you just buy the collection, you can play every game in order that you want to, all the backstory, and by the time you get to 3, you'll understand, and then you can finally play 4.
It's as easy
whenever.
As that.
Get it now. I think we'll have one last question where I ask you your 3 favorite Kingdom Hearts worlds.
Oh, from actual Kingdom Hearts, it's very good. Number I'm going to go in reverse order, and I'll be very quick with each one. So number 3, I'm going to give it to Winnie the Pooh. So there's a world called Winnie the Pooh, self-explanatory. You're in Winnie the Pooh's world. You have to find lost pages and play mini games, but it's just really wholesome. There's no enemies. You're just trying to help Pooh and friends, and it's just it's very heartwarming.
Thousand Acre Wood is a very strong world.
Yes, Thousand Acre Wood. Number 2 is Neverland. It's quite restrictive at the start when you're on a ship and you're literally on Captain Hook's pirate ship, but you also get to fly around Big Ben. And when I say fly, you literally get to fly around. And it's the first time I've ever flown in a video game apart from like an airship, and it just felt so freeing. And there's a track by Yoko Shimomura, a fantastic composer who did the soundtracks to all the Kingdom Hearts. It's called Neverland Sky, and it is the most freeing kind of soundtrack I think I've heard in any of the games. You really feel like you're flying, and it feels really uplifting. And a quick side note, actually, the soundtrack. So when you go to each world, like Tarzan's world or Aladdin's world, Yoko Shimomura has cultivated and created these soundtracks that actually feel straight out from a Disney film. You don't even need to. You could probably go to the street, just some Disney expert or nerd or super fan, and play them that Kingdom Hearts track, and then ask them, what film do you think this is from, and they'll guess it. And I think that's how good Yoko Shimomura has done with the soundtrack. And she's got very good like outros and intros as well, and I just love it. But my number 1 world is Traverse Town. So that's Traverse Town is the hub area of Kingdom Hearts, I'd say. It's the world that sort of first goes to once the darkness swallows him. And he takes Sora out of an unfamiliar surrounding, and he finds Donald and Goofy, and similar to how Tidus goes into an unfamiliar world and you're seeing it through his eyes, it's the same thing with Sora. So you're exploring Traverse Town, you're actually seeing some Disney characters, you're seeing some Final Fantasy characters, and it really lays the foundation on how this game's meant to be played. And plus, if I could live in any town, it would be Traverse Town. It's really cozy. It's like an old village feel to it. It's based on Pinocchio, because Pinocchio actually lives there, funnily enough. And so it's like an 18th century German quintessential village. And yeah, it's really lovely. I love that town so much.
Yeah, you could explore it and find anyone from Lilo and Stitch to Simba to Cloud. It's very
summons as well. I could go on about this game, but we need to rein it in. For sure.
We could spend another couple hours speaking about Kingdom Hearts and all its many parts. It's a very long. Well, it's not a long game. It's a solid game to start the series off. But if you think about the whole series in a whole, the worlds and all the side characters, it is a massive undertaking.
Yeah.
Not quite as long as...
If you've got a Kingdom Hearts tattoo, I want to see it. Send it to us on Twitter or Instagram, or shout it on the bus again. Shout that you've got a tattoo.
I want all of you to shout your tattoos on the bus.
Yes. It's such a good game, and I think similar to your Final Fantasy X, I think it'll always be my number 1. I don't think Kingdom Hearts will ever be knocked off. I think it holds such a special place in my heart.
Yeah, I mean, I know my top 2, Final Fantasy X and Life is Strange. I don't think that they'll ever be toppled. 3 and under have changed over the years. I mean, I know True Colors is like the most recent one, because before that it was quite solid. It kind of knocked Pokemon Yellow out of its perch. But I'm glad I'm seeing new games get like that. They'll want me to change my game lineup. I kind of want to do like a movie lineup as well, but it would take way too long. But I think that's everything we needed to cover. Or we could cover more, but time restraints. But hopefully you've got an in-depth knowledge of Sam's top 5 games, his favorite game, and if you get inspired to play these games, all the better for you.
Exactly. No, it's been great actually discussing it, and I say if you go back to episode 1 or episode 0, you'll hear Kieran's top 5s. You've heard my top 5. I think that actually gives people a good overview of who we are, what we like to do as games, and I think I don't know about you, Kieran, but I think we should start bringing on some friends and some people from the industry to talk about their favorite games now.
Yeah, so tune in next week to find out who our mystery guest is going to be.
And what their favorite games are going to be. Kieran, do you have anything you want to say, any shout outs you want to give about anything, gaming or non-gaming related?
I'd like to shout out my friend Zoe. She is the biggest gaming kind of personality friend that I have, and she is, in some respects, a bigger gamer than me. So, some respects.
If she's ever on, I think that we can debate where that comes from. But no, shout out to Zoe, and I just want to say I will be making a lot more Fall Guy levels, I think, this week. I'm just really addicted to it, and I'm going to make you play. I'm actually going to make you play some of them right after this podcast. So I hope you're ready for that.
Yeah, we'll see.
This has been Memory Card Not Found. I hope you enjoy. Please rate us super high, because I know you feel like you want your memory cards found as well. You can hear us on Spotify, hopefully Apple, and maybe one day, Kieran, we'll show our beautiful bearded faces. But for now, we are audio only.
I don't think the world's ready for our beautiful faces just yet.
I think we will break some screens. But yeah, that is it for Memory Card Not Found, and we will see you guys in the next episode, and we'll have a nice music transition again.